Okay. I'm gonna call it. Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Here. Alderman Campbell.
Here.
Alderman Galloway.
Here.
Alderman Gardner.
Here.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
We have 5 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of a December 15th special meeting and December 19th regular meeting? If so, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the December 15th. Meeting.
Second. Motion was made by Alderman Snyder to approve the meetings of the minutes from December 15th special meeting and seconded by Alderman Galloway. What did I say? I said Snyder again, didn't I? Motion was made.
You'll get it.
Yeah, I will get it.
Yeah.
By Alderman Campbell, seconded by Alderman Galloway, to put the meetings from December 15th special meeting minutes. Did we just a show of hands on that? So all those in favor? Abstentions? Those opposed? All right. And for December 19th, regular meeting minutes.
I motion we approve the December 19th regular meeting.
Second. Motion was made by Alderman Campbell, seconded by Alderman Galloway to approve the December 19th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, scheduled visitors and guests. Do we have anybody tonight? Nope. Okay. All right, ceremonial matters. So as most of you know, Mayor Jackson has taken the appointment for the Eastern Commissioner by the governor, and so he's moving on to the county. So I'd like to present him this plaque.
This Bradley Allen Jackson, in appreciation of your years of service to your hometown.
Was just stating that I just wanted to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity. The staff for the fantastic job they've done over the past 2 years. I know that I have kind of high standards and demand excellence out of everybody, and they've achieved that over the past 2 years. You know, I'm moving to a different building, but Ozark is still my hometown. It's still where my heart resides, and you know, I'm going to continue to serve my community to the best of my ability. I want to thank my wife and my daughters are in the audience that give me that opportunity to help out and serve my community, and I want to thank them for that. But anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you.
All right, moving on to first reading of bills and resolutions. Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3419 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway to put bill 3420 on its first reading by title and description only. Second. 34, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. 3419. All those in favor? Oh,
Gotcha.
Amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 405 zoning regulations to add language regulating marijuana facilities. I can introduce this if you'd
Okay.
like. In 2018, the Missouri voters approved a constitutional amendment allowing for medical marijuana. At that time, the city of Ozark passed legislation and adopted our zoning code amendments in relation to the language that was used in that constitutional amendment, allowing for medical marijuana facilities to operate in certain zoning districts within the city of Ozark. In 2022, the Constitution was amended again, this time allowing for adult use marijuana. Because our zoning code references the amendments related to medical marijuana, some amendments are needed to update our zoning regulation to match the newest amendments to the Missouri Constitution. You'll notice in the bill, we have removed reference to medical marijuana, instead focusing on the use of the underlying facilities such as commercial, agricultural. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them as they relate to the bill's language.
Any questions from the board? Would anybody from the public like to speak for this bill? Do we have anybody on Zoom? Anybody in the audience to speak in opposition of it? Then I'll turn it back over to the board for any final comments. All right, this bill will be held over to the next legislative meeting. Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3420 on its first reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place bill 3420 on its first reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Dynamic Construction Systems LLC for construction services related to remodel.
Sam.
All right, we went out to bid for the Brick Street remodel, which will be the planning and development tenant finish. Bid was received on December 8th. We had 4 qualified bids. In your packet is the bid tabulations with those pricings. And we are asking to base bid from Dynamic Construction, which happens to be the lowest and best qualified at $614,920.
Just for public who are watching and are present here, could you describe what the Brick Street remodel is?
Sure. The Brick Street remodel is the building was vacated by a church and also our municipal court, and we will be infilling it with offices.
That's the sort of the strip mall. across
Located between the police department and the public works department.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there anybody in the crowd to speak for this bill? Anybody to speak on this bill in opposition? No, I'll turn it back over to the board for any final comments or questions. Okay, we will be holding this one over till the next legislative meeting. Alderman Gardner.
Move that we put bill 3421 on its first reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Gardner, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place bill 3421 on its first reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Smith and Edwards Construction Incorporated for construction services related to the 2022 sanitary sewer treatment and system improvements.
Mind pulling up that presentation. All right, good evening. I wanted to quickly go over this with you all this evening. It is 5 different projects rolled into one bid packet. They're all related to one another. They all have to do with either our wastewater treatment plants or an area that we've been focused on for quite a while on the west side of 3rd Street. And I'll kind of show you some maps. maybe we'll get through this. But again, it's 5 different projects, one of them being the installation of a centrifuge. If you all remember earlier in 2022, we went out and received bids for a centrifuge for the wastewater treatment plant. That had a significantly large lead time on that. And we are now much closer to receiving that. So we put the bid packet together to include the installation of this. It is a very specialized piece of equipment. So within our bid qualifications, we actually required that the potential contractors have experience within the last 10 years installing these, because we think that is very critical. These are complicated machines, but it's all in the installation. And of course, we want that warranty to be valid as well. We're also going to be doing some upgrades to the splitter box. If I scroll forward a little bit here, splitter boxes are located right there where I've got them identified with the yellow circle. They basically help us control the different types of sludge and what part of clarification process they're in. Right now, those splitter boxes have 20+ years on them and they need to be replaced. If I go back, project number 3 is climate control on a couple of the buildings out there, specifically our UV building and our old shop. We've been operating with basically window units for a little while, and the UV facility where we do the final step of the basically the clarification process and the sterilization process is critical that you keep it at a certain temperature. Project 4, for those that you don't know, out at Elk Valley Treatment Plant, we have a significant amount of land. And to save the city money, when we're doing projects, we haul off our spoils down there. So while this contractor, and by spoils, I mean overburden or anything that we dig up, we take it down there. We needed someone within this contract with the appropriate equipment to basically just stabilize that material and grade it. So we threw that into this one as well. And then the big one that we've been talking about for years is what I call the Oak Street mess on the west side of 3rd Street over here, where we've had significant issues with backflows and sewer backing up into homes over there. And we're finally ready to tackle that. And I should back up and say that these are all items that we looked at in the 2019 sewer master plan. So by working with staff, and I can't thank staff enough, our guys at the sewer treatment plant, our crew at the sewer treatment plant, we're just continually checking off these boxes in order of prioritization. So this is 5 different projects within one. There's a map that kind of talks a little bit more about it. 1 through 3 at the sewer treatment plant. So that will be the centrifuge, the splitter boxes, and the HVAC, as we talked about. That's the Elk Valley treatment plant. For those of you that have not been out there, you can kind of see where there's some red clay in that area that's been circled. We need to compact that and stabilize that. And we just don't have the equipment to do that. We don't own a sheep splitter or any type of, larger blade like a dozer or anything. So that's included as well. The area there, what we're calling the Oak Street mess, that is an area of town that's caused a lot of headaches, but we're ready. We're finally ready. We've done all that we can in there with the CIPP, that cured in place pipe. So we basically fixed all the low hanging fruit, and we're ready to go in there and make a mess. But you got to break a few eggs, right? But I think it'll be a welcome mess for that neighborhood. They've been putting up with some issues for years. And quite frankly, we love going into these neighborhoods that have older neighborhoods that need some attention. So there's just a close-up view and an index sheet. Basically, when we first started looking at this project, everything was identified within this index sheet. Now that we've done the cured in place pipe, we were able to pull some of those out and have a significant cost savings on those. So the bids, it didn't show up too well on this, so I'm going to go to my handwritten ones. We did have 3 qualified bidders. Again, we put special criteria in there. we were very happy. When the first bid was read, I wasn't quite so happy. You can see there's a large spread in those, but if you look at our statement of probable cost, it is within the realm. Anytime you see that big of a spread, you kind of question to yourself, was there something missed? But we went through these bids line item by line item, and we're very comfortable with those. And we've spoken to the lowest qualified bidder, and they are on board to do this project. So I'm happy to say right now it's under budget. And with that, like I said, this is another step in that plan that we all put together. And it's just great to see us check those lists off, working with staff to check those lists off. So any questions about this project?
On project number 2.
Yes,
on your
sir.
Splitter boxes. You said that these are going to be significant upgrades, improvements. Is it new equipment or what's going on with that?
Yeah, basically new mechanisms that control the liquor, the RAS and the WAS. It controls the amount and the type of activated sludge that goes into our centrifuges. So the best way to do this, and it's called liquor for a reason, it really is refining those solids and that liquid to a certain state of clarification and then throwing it back into the sludge or sending it back for additional treatment into the clarifiers or back into the ditch. So it's kind of our control center. And because it's a valve system and splitter boxes, there's age on them, there's weather on them. They're very difficult and we're having to manually operate these things. We've had to do a lot of Ozark engineering on them as well, welding some things together to keep it. It's long overdue, so we're very happy to include that in this bid packet.
Okay, but it is going to be new equipment.
New
Is that
equipment.
New equipment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, not upgrade, just new.
New equipment in the splitter boxes. Yes.
What's the lifespan on it?
We hope to get 20 years out of these as well. And with maintenance, and we do have an aggressive maintenance schedule. That's why we kept the other ones for over 20 years. I think that's very feasible. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Alderman Galloway.
Sorry.
Alderman Gardner.
Jeremy, I should know the answer to this, but I don't. On the Oak Street mess, as you call it, therefore there has been a lot of the CIPP procedures done. Are any of those being taken out and replaced with something new, or is the work only going to be done in areas that have not been treated with the CIPP?
Yes, so if we go back to that index sheet, it's the very next slide. Everything, and when we originally started tackling this plan, basically every road within there had a dashed line around it. So now that the roads that don't, and the sections that don't have dashed lines, we've treated with that cured in place pipe.
Okay.
So you're looking at $22 to $25 a linear foot in those areas, as opposed to the prices we're seeing for new construction in here.
So the ones that have the dashed lines around them were not candidates for CIPP.
That's
and have to
correct.
Be
They
replaced.
were beyond repair. So
Okay.
we tried to get everything we could that was still capable of using that type of restoration technique. And then these, based upon the camera data that we received and the camera information, they were beyond repair. There's so many roots, there's so many breaks in the line. We're having to saw them quarterly now, literally go in with a saw and saw out the roots to keep that from backing up. So the only fix here was a complete replacement. But I'm happy to say that we did all we could with the low hanging fruit. So we saved a significant amount of money, on the order of around $200,000 that would have cost. Now, we did spend $60,000 on that area, but still you've got a net savings of $140,000, which is great.
Alderman Campbell.
On the rock thaws or the unit pricing on the rock breaking,
Yes.
I wouldn't suspect there'd be a lot of rock breaking going on if they're just replacing pipe, would you?
No, not at all. It's one of those things that we've become very accustomed to going ahead and putting that in our bids so that there are no surprises. and that there's a set unit cost on that. So if we do encounter it, we don't have to go over a change order. We don't have to establish. Obviously, we do if that price gets too high. But right in there, we have it set. It just saves time and ultimately it saves money as well.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, I'll open it up for public comment. Is there anybody here to speak for this bill tonight? Anybody to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I will close the public portion of this and turn it back over to the board for any final comments or questions. Hearing none, we'll table this bill till our next legislative meeting. Okay. All right, Alderman Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3422 on its first reading by title only. Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Snyder to place bill 3422 on its first reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance calling for and giving notice of a general municipal election to be held on April 4th, 2023, to elect a mayor and alderman for wards 1, 2, and 3.
Will there be anybody else speaking on this? Oh,
If you want, this is just a regular general election, for as it was laid out in the bill for, wards 1, 2, and 3, as well as the mayor. I will say that, we were probably have more individuals running for these positions than we've had in the past. So it's good to see the public taking an interest in wanting to be a part of local government. I believe there are 3 candidates for mayor, 3 for Ward 2, 3 for Ward 3, and 2 for Ward 1, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, if we have any questions, happy to answer those. Otherwise, that's all we have.
any questions from the board?
Oh, I am very sorry. Ms. Callaway has reminded me that this bill, it does have a time sensitivity attached with it. So we are requesting tonight. Thank you very much. We are requesting tonight to expedite this bill. Obviously, we have a deadline. We need to meet with the county clerk. And so we need to get that filed. Otherwise, Chandra will, I don't know what Ms. Hodges will do if I know. So I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we are asking to expedite this bill.
Okay. All right, any Mr. Galloway?
Sorry.
Okay. I guess I still need to open up for public hearing then. Correct? Okay, I'll open up for public hearing. Is there anybody to speak for this bill? Anybody here to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on this and turn it back over to the board for any comments or questions. Okay. Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3422 on its second reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Gardner to place bill 3422 on its second reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance calling for and giving notice of a general municipal election to be held on April 4th, 2023, to elect a mayor and alderman for wards 1, 2, and 3.
Any other comments? Any comments or questions from the board? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3422 as ordinance number 23-001.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Gardner, place to adopt bill 3422 as ordinance 23-001. Can I get a roll call vote?
Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Gardner,
Aye.
Alderman Campbell,
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Elder. Aye. We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
On the second reading of bills, the first bill on this bill 3410, the applicant has requested that this would be tabled tonight, so we're not actually going to put it on its first reading. We're going to go ahead and go to bill 3411.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3411 on a second reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Snyder to place bill 3411 on its second reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally known as a parcel approximately 80 acres bordered by West Longview Road to the south.
Nothing to bring. Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Or open it up to the public? Oh, we don't actually not open it to public on this one. Okay. Well, hearing, yes, sir.
Just a comment that I think it sounds reasonable.
Any other comments? Not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3411 as ordinance number 23-002.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by let's see, Alderman Campbell to adopt bill 3411 as ordinance 23-002.
Alderman Gardner. Alderman Snyder. Alderman Alder. Alderman Campbell. Alderman Galloway. We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3412 on its second reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place bill 3412 on its second reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance amending the corporate boundaries of the city of Ozark, Missouri by annexing certain real property generally known as a parcel approximately 1.97 acres to the east of lots 7 and 8 of Christian County Commercial Park.
Any comments or questions from the board? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3412 as ordinance number 23-003.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to adopt bill 3412 as ordinance 23-003. Can I get a roll call vote?
Alderman Alder. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Campbell. Alderman Gardner. Alderman Snyder. We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3413 on its second reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place bill 3413 on its second reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally known as a parcel approximately 1.97 acres to the east of lots 7 and 8 of Christian County Commercial Park.
Any questions or comments from the board? If no, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3413 of ordinance number 23-004.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to adopt bill 3413 as ordinance 23-004. Can I get a roll call vote?
Alderman Snyder. Alderman Gardner. Alderman Alder. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Campbell. We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3414 on its second reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place bill 3414 on its second reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally known as a parcel approximately 9 acres at 5803 North 21st Street.
Any questions or comments from the board? If no, I would entertain a motion.
Mixed up. I was looking at the acreage and that doesn't line up with the bill that I thought we were reading. So what bill are we reading? 3414. That was 9 acres. Is that what was read? Okay, I'm sorry. Then I was looking at the wrong one. I apologize. Sorry.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3414 as ordinance number 23-005.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to adopt Bill 3414 as ordinance 23-005. Can I get a roll call vote, please? Oh, excuse me.
Well, I guess I've got confused just like Alderman Gardner was.
Why here it is?
Maybe it is.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so we're on 3414. Which would be,
00.
oh, I'm sorry, I mismarked one. Never mind. You're correct. Sorry.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Gardner. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Ms. Snyder. Alderman Alder. Aye. We have five motion carries.
Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3415 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place Bill 3415 on its second reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property, generally known as a parcel, approximately 5.6 acres at the 2150 to 2300 block of North 17th Street.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3415 as ordinance number 23-006.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to adopt Bill 3415 as ordinance 23-006. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Alder. Aye. We have five aye votes, motion carries.
Mr. Gardner. Oh, no, there's one more. Sorry. Kind of snuck in there.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3416 on a second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place Bill 3416 on its second reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property, generally known as a parcel, approximately 24 acres at the 1500 block of West Valley Drive.
Any questions or comments from the board regarding this bill? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3416 as ordinance number 23-007.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Campbell to adopt Bill 3416 as ordinance 23-007. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Alder. Aye. Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
We have five aye votes, motion carries.
And Mr. Gardner.
Yes, I move that we Bill 3417 second reading. Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Gardner, seconded by Alderman Campbell to place Bill 3417 on its second reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance establishing sewer connection fees.
Any questions or comments from the board on this? If not, I would entertain a motion.
All right, I move that we adopt Bill 3417 as ordinance 23-008.
Motion was made by Alderman Gardner, seconded by Alderman Campbell to adopt Bill 3417 as ordinance 23-008. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Alder. Aye. Alderman Galloway. We have five aye votes, motion carries.
Okay. Back to you.
I move that we place bill number 3418 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Gardner, motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Gardner to place bill 3418 on its second reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance calling an election in the city of Ozark, Missouri to be held on April 4th, 2023, to submit to the qualified voters the question of whether the city shall levy an additional tax on the retail sale of non-medical adult use marijuana.
Any questions or, Mr. Snyder?
On this particular bill, that's a maximum of 3%, is that correct? That
The additional
the
tax
additional tax
is
yes.
up to 3% on top of your already applicable sales tax.
That's my question.
And the ballot language is drafted as adding that 3%.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Not, I will entertain them.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3418 as ordinance number 23-009.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Gardner to adopt bill 3418 as ordinance 23-009. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Snyder. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell.
Abstain.
Alderman Alder.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, 1 abstention. Motion carries.
On to miscellaneous comments, announcements for members of the board. The mayor. Oh, Mr. Childers.
Yeah. I really just wanted to give everybody an update on the event that occurred the last few days, or the end of last week. So everybody knows that we had a situation on the square in which one of our old historic buildings had collapsed. I really want to say thank you to everyone that helped in that situation. That morning, the Ozark Fire District was right on the scene. They stayed through the entire time. We are continuing to work with our Ozark Fire District to take direction. That is something that we work in conjunction with them on. So the Ozark Fire District, our own police department, who kept watch over that area until we could get it secured, reached out to the city of Springfield that morning. I was able to talk to the deputy city administrator who got me in touch with the fire chief in Springfield. They do have a special unit that deals with buildings in unsafe conditions. They did come down and stayed with us through the day too, as we made other decisions that had to be made. Our partners with Spire Gas, Liberty Electric, everybody just really worked hard to do a job that was unfun, but I was really impressed with the way everyone worked together as a team. Our public information office that communicated to everyone, Show Me Christian County, the Chamber of Commerce, who communicated with the businesses, our historic river district, who certainly made contact with the business owners, the property owners, and certainly the property owners. That was an unfortunate thing for them, but they've been nothing but wonderful to work with. Thank goodness no one was hurt in the situation. I want to bring that to everyone's attention. I think we got very fortunate in an unfortunate set of circumstances that was the case. The owners have secured a structural engineer who is working with the contractor. Our contractor is working with our public works department and our building department to move things forward. Those permits have been issued. And further conversations today, just to give you an update, the contractor has removed the most unsafe portion of the building, which is the south side of the building. And that allowed for the residents to had personal items in there to retrieve their personal items under the supervision of the Ozark Fire District as well as the contractors. And so that has been done. And so personal property was also retrieved. And I think that was also a great thing for the property owners and the contractors of fire district to allow that to happen. That being said, the Department of Natural Resources is involved in this project, and that is because it's an old building and old buildings have asbestos. So the original permit was issued that allowed for the first phase, I would say, of the demolition on the south side of the building up to the stairwell. And now it is secured. There was additional inspections done on the roof. The roof was determined to have asbestos materials. So the project is likely to continue for about a 3-week period. They have to take little bitty parts of it down as they go, and they have to be permitted by the Department of Natural Resources according to the inspections that they'll turn in on a daily, almost couple times a day. So anyway, I think that we're in a good spot, as good as we can be anyway, with regards to the safety of our tenants as well as their personal property, and being on top of all of this. We'll continue to watch it carefully. The Planning and Development Department, our code enforcement building department is really in charge of the project on that level as far as permitting. The contractor will continue to remove the rubble off of the street as they go. So I know you may see a big pile of things out there now, but that will be continued to move off of there. I do want to thank Liberty Electric again. They did remove one of the poles that was sort of right in the way of the construction that was removed today. So that's good news, and things continue to progress forward. So we're going to keep the area secured. It is, I do want to say that the buildings to the west do have the electric and gas utilities back on, and the Department of Motor Vehicles is again operating. However, we will be in touch with the Chamber of Commerce just to again work with them. Anything we can do other than just encourage them to continue to seek support for the business that does remain closed. We do have a wall that used to be an interior wall on the building to the west that's now an exterior wall. And because of that, the building needs to be removed from that building. That means that the tenant in the upstairs or the business that's immediately adjacent, which share that wall, cannot return to those locations. So that's a tough situation for them, but that's the situation that the Ozark Fire District has to make, and for the safety of everyone involved. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I just wanted to provide the board with an update.
That was news to me. So the business next to, or the building next to the building that collapsed, that's going to have to be vacated, did you say, or did I mishear that? Yeah, basically the overnight, the tenant, there was a residential apartment unit on the top. So any long length of stay or any because of that shared wall is not going to be allowed. So they can't have anybody spending the night in that building. And then there is one other small business, the Heart of, yes, it is a retail business that's adjacent to that as well. And so that business too, because of the space that it shares adjacent to the building to be demolished, is also going to remain closed. That lower part has another wall that separates the Department of Motor Vehicles, which therefore is allowing for the Department of Motor Vehicles to continue to operate. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think your question is, it's only through demolition and once they get it shored up. So he's saying it's 3 weeks for it.
Oh, I see. So it's just through demolition. The intention is for the building to be put back to use.
Yes, I mean, after the demolition and all of the the support beams are removed from the adjacent wall, those other businesses and the residential unit should be able to return occupancy.
And the business as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay, good. The other question I had was the bricks and material that are taken away by demolition. Is for anybody that is a historic preservationist that's interested in acquiring that material, that could not be me. Is that available information?
You know, it's owned by the property owners, so it's not our property, it's their property. That did come up in conversation during the day when the event occurred. They are interested in trying to see if they can save some pallets of brick from the building, and I anticipate that's likely to happen more at the end of the project because there's so many bricks on that north side right there. And the way that they're going to be taking it down, it will cause less damage to those bricks on that side, according to the contractor. So with the property owner's permission, that will be their decision to make, but we're certainly happy to inform Historic River District and so forth of how that, what we learned of that.
And I'm sorry, my final question, the Adventure Coffee that was the tenant in the building that collapsed, were they able to get their equipment out?
Tonight, they were actually working at 4 o'clock once they had everything secured. The tenant that was in the upper level back was able to into a safe stairwell area and get their an apartment on the lower level that had a back door. They were moving there, and the coffee shop was also working tonight to retrieve some of their personal property that they could get out of there. So
thank
Now, mine was strictly more of a comment. The day after that, we were down there and I was able to speak to the couple that resided in that apartment directly above the coffee shop.
yeah,
One thing that really stuck out and is very commendable on my part is the demo crew that had that cherry picker. And they were able to go inside that apartment. She's a photographer. She's a freelance photographer. They were able to get that piece of equipment in there to help retrieve some of her equipment out, even though the wall had been pushed in, which, you know, they were quite upset about that.
yeah.
But they were able to help those folks get their equipment out. That stuck out more than anything down there. And the help that every agency involved gave is commendable, but specifically those crews, because they were able to get that equipment out, personal belongings, a computer. They brought that down and they got off that equipment and they walked it over and gave it to that couple. That stuck out.
You know, in the first day, the very next morning, there was one priority, and the priority, and the contractor showed up on site. Very impressed by that. They left other jobs to get there. There was one priority, and there were very tall, dangerous portions of the wall that were falling off gradually every time the wind blew. We had to get that down. That was going to fall at any time. Yes, there were some bricks that fell inward rather than outward, but I think the demo crew did what the demo crew, they went above and beyond. You're absolutely right. I was impressed with the operator that operated and the two gentlemen that were on the top lift that literally went in on the lift into the building and retrieved personal items out of there. I thought that was very commendable. It's a dangerous situation and they did it anyway. And so, no, I agree with you, Alderman Snyder. That was good to see.
Yeah, I just have a question on the demolition. As you were explaining what I call the motor vehicle building, which also Heart of Grace is in that building.
It is a single building. There's different walls in those buildings. So the upstairs portion is one big open loft, and it extends the entire length of the building from the, I guess I'd call it the elevator shaft to over.
I've been in, the whole thing's open.
Yeah, and in the bottom, there's a small unit called the Heart of Grace, and there's a wall right there that goes down, and that separates that space from the DMV. So that's why the DMV is sort of a separate piece.
Okay,
right
so when the building that collapsed, when it comes down totally, the wall that it shares with the DMV building, the east wall of Heart of Grace.
Yeah.
When that old building comes down, that will just leave, instead of two walls of brick, it'll just leave one, so that will leave the Heart of Grace then not stable? Is that the?
Well, when you're talking about stability, I can tell you this, the owners have, obtained the services of a structural engineer, and the structural engineer as obtained by the owners is who we are working with from our code compliance. When I found out today was that, the civil engineer does have some concerns that what once was an interior wall is now an exterior wall and will be exposed to the elements. And because of that, the structural engineer, as I understand it, is developing some shoring up designs and will be giving those to the contractor for the contractor to make some temporary repairs to not cause further damage to the wall, or hopefully not cause further damage as they continue to take those beams out of there.
So the hope is that the entire DMV building, which would include the entire loft upstairs, the 2/3 being the DMV and maybe 1/3 being Heart of Grace, the idea is that whole building would be preserved.
Yes, we all hope that there isn't significant damage that occurred while the other building had collapsed. I think there's probably going to have to be further evaluation of that. Obviously, there'll have to be other structural reports that are done so we can determine what that is. And not only, and then once we receive that information, determine what, if any, repairs need to be made to that wall that's now going to remain an exterior wall, at least for the time being, until we know what, if there's going to be a rebuild plan or anything right there. So I think some temporary showing up and some temporary covering is probably going to be likely.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that we're all clear, so the public is all clear, sure, because there has been a little confusion. The structural engineer, the contractor, none of those actually work for the city, correct?
That is correct.
They work for the building owner.
The building owner. This is a privately owned building, and so it's the responsibility of the property owner to obtain the services in this kind of a situation, as sad as it may be. And certainly we are offering all of the services we do in our building code department to work with them. Again, they've been excellent to work with. They provided all the information. And we've been working with them expeditiously to get the permits that they need. Again, I bring up the DNR because that is a component of this, and everybody's sort of waiting as we go in each phase to get the next permit and the next permit and the next permit as you work towards the north end of the building. So, but no, they're not contractors of the city.
Yeah, I did want to say just one more thing. I had heard that some other building owner or something had maybe reached an agreement with Heart of Grace or maybe went above and beyond more than just reaching an agreement, but for them to open their shop in a different building on the square. And I don't know which one it is.
Miss Payne, do you know any more about that?
I talked to her yesterday and I haven't seen anything posted yet. They're doing an online sale, but they haven't said anything official on their.
Do you know? Mr. Smith may have some more information about that, sir.
Yes, this afternoon we met with the owner of Heart of Grace, and she had conveyed that that other business owner, building owner had offered up the space. Following that meeting, she was going to follow up with him and inquire about that, and I think pursue that opportunity, just because they were hoping they can get back in about a week, but because of the potential delays with the asbestos as they're testing constantly on site and taking about 24 hours to get results, they realize it's going to take longer than they anticipated. So she is reaching out to them, supposed to get back to us if she's going to move to the west side of the square into that facility as a temporary location. So hopefully she'll make that happen.
So do you know what the owners are anticipating? Is it too early to know if they're going to think about rebuilding or?
I think it's probably too early to give an answer. They certainly, those conversations were had the first and second day. You know, again, I commend them. This was a hard thing for them, but they did ask the question, what would the city like to see happen with that site? And so I do think that they would be more than willing to reinvest in the city of Ozark. I don't know what that looks like yet, but certainly they want to be a part of the downtown. Not big enough for a parking garage.
Mr. Galloway.
Question maybe for Cameron. Is there a need maybe over the next few months to assess if we should regulate these older buildings differently, like requiring structural inspections periodically, things like that, or is that on the radar? Or
It's definitely something that's been brought to everyone's attention to consider, and how we proceed forward, and what we put into place and propose, on the staff side for the board, but I think that is for future discussions of what to considering for these. But I will note though that there was a report done in 2017 that, or not 2017, just last year, that noted the building was fine before it sold. And then I'm understanding there's one done around 16 and 17, the similar results. So I'm not sure what the hope would be, but I mean, it may be that it's not finding a lot of stuff unless we continue to monitor these like within every year of going back. So I think it's a further discussion to consider.
I think the thing about these older buildings, they're a precious resource. So once we lose them, they're gone.
Yep.
So it's, I mean, it happens. And that's, I think, our oldest building on the square. But you know, when we lose them,
Yeah.
they're not replaceable.
Ms. Alder.
Do we have any information or will we get any of really why the building collapsed where the park was?
I don't know if the owners are going to request that the structural engineer provide a report that would say, and I don't know that the structural engineer would be able to give you an exact reason of why. I can tell you that this was not the only building that ended in this type of demise. There was another one just west of here, west of Joplin, that I know one of our local structural engineers that has served on the Planning and Zoning Commission before was dealing with, and the entire front of that building fell off. Mainly when you're dealing with 1 week 65-degree weather, the next week is negative 15-degree weather, and then the next week is 65-degree weather again with 40-mile-an-hour winds. You have an extreme freeze thaw type of a scenario going on, and one small change in the structure, which brick does expand and the mortar does expand. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to move. The slightest thing can cause that. And I think you had sort of the perfect storm with the weather, and those extreme weather conditions can really play havoc on buildings as old as these are. So that's all I know about that so far. So, but I don't know if we'll get a full report or not.
Is that something we're going to try to get?
I mean, certainly if there is one that's completed, we will certainly ask for a copy of it. Sure. Yeah.
Mr. Campbell.
One more thing, I hope. Do we know, and I'm the wind, do we know what the difference in elevation is between the parapet cap and the roof itself? Did the parapet stick up quite a bit above the roof or a little bit or not? Or
I don't know. I mean, you can almost go out there and probably look. I don't really know.
I tried to look at it, and I tried to look at it on the pictures also in real, but it looks like the roof that I was trying to look at had fell down, so I really couldn't tell where it used to.
One of the comments that the contractor that's out there doing the demo made was that he was surprised to see that there was not a lateral beam or a beam running north and south in that building at all. Everything was resting on the walls and just had one beam going across it, just sitting there. That's the way that the construction was made. Yeah. And so there was no other support beam running the length of that. So it was the floor, as I understand it, that provides the stability for the walls. And that's how the structure in that time was built. So basically in the wall that you see exposed now on the DMV building, they would do a layer of brick, short layer of brick and another layer of brick where they would leave a gap. And then they would just set that beam right on top in a groove, and those grooves are just all the way down. And then the other beam would set on the wall or 2x4 on the other side of the wall. And then the brick was just put on top of that. So, don't know, a different kind of construction back then, but that's, so, like I said, that freestyle, if it moved at all, and one of those beams was here and it moves an inch, it could have just fallen down. And if you noticed in the very first event, there were 3 beams. All the rest of them were there, but 3 beams have fallen out of the, I can't tell you that that's what caused that. I don't know if it happened from the bottom of the top, but I'm just telling you that the beams were out of their original location, and those 3 were very obviously had been moved.
High versus the roof height, and Cameron probably knows more about this than I do. When you have a parapet and across that parapet, it creates a vacuum above the roof. And that roof will actually try to lift and fall and lift and fall and lift, especially if you have gusty winds. That roof can do this and working against the thaw cycle and all that going on. I think, like you said, well ago, it's of things. Age being part of it too.
I think a combination is exactly what age being part of it, but a combination of, again, the freeze-thaw, extreme weather conditions, high wind, the age of the building, all of those things. You have a flat roof. Flat roofs are very difficult. You know, and there was additional weight in the building. I mean, there had been floor work that had been done, you know, decades ago, and you could see the different things, you know, where that could have been more weight than another area and so forth. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more in the report. I just don't know what the report's going to tell us. But again, my whole point was that everybody worked on this locally. All of our public safety responders. Again, I just think everybody really came together, and all of our training paid off in a circumstance where I haven't been through this part. Thank goodness no one was hurt, but it's a secure location. We were able to get the lane on the square open. I thought that was a big deal, and secure the area so that the workers can continue to work. And that's the key, to get it down as fast as we can now. So
One thing I'll say is that obviously this bringing it to our attention that this is a real possibility. It's a shame that we lost the building. But I do think that we need to take some time with a special meeting or something and think about what we can do with Cameron and everybody. If there is something in an ordinance or whatever that's not too invasive on people's private property, but would be an asset or a help to make sure this doesn't happen again. I'm not sure what the right path forward is, but I think we can find something.
I think that would be an excellent topic for a non-legislative work session. I think that, you know, as we get along into January, possibly the structural engineer that does work on this, if they're willing to come and visit with the board so that they can answer questions way better than I can, you know, how the building functioned and how it's stopped functioning effectively and just what that looks like. And in the meantime, you just work with staff to find some other examples of how other historic areas may have a program in place that evaluates fairly the condition of their buildings for the safety of the public, but also to balance that with not unfairly putting in a fiduciary burden on the property owner who may or may not be able to make those costly repairs. So I don't know. It's going to be a delicate balance.
One thing I'd heard from one of the business owners here on the square is that they were getting cancellations because people were scared of the buildings downtown, and we definitely don't want that happening. You know, where people are afraid to go downtown and thinking
That's unfortunate.
building's going to come down on them. So I think anything we can assist in, and if we can find a way forward, I think that'd be great. Mr. Gardner.
If we do decide to entertain some sort of ordinance about inspections, at some point, and I'm not advocating or otherwise for that, but if we do that prior to April, knowing that we've got 3 possibly new people and a new mayor coming in, we need to make sure that this could be a very controversial bill, and it could take a while to do it. So we need to make sure that all of the potential office holders are invited to that so that they will be as up to speed as possible.
Yeah, that would be fun. I don't anticipate being able to present any kind of bill of this nature. Like I said, you could have an inspection process that could require a property owner to make $200,000-300,000 worth of repairs. You're talking about structural walls that are 2 and 3 stories tall. Not that that's not important, please. I'm not belittling that. I'm just simply saying that, you know, that's going to be something we need to really figure out. So,
Well, any other comments from the board? Just in general.
I was able to go by Waterburg. I visited with a manager yesterday. I didn't eat. I am not eating there. I'll tell you, not right now. I visited with a manager yesterday and they were on the verge of getting everything ready. They already had 2 or 3 cars in the drive-through. But I went there this afternoon and I actually walked inside to talk to the manager that I missed yesterday. His name is Mr. Caden Jones. He's the operating partner. And he said everything seems to be going flawless. Their traffic is where it's going smooth. They commended the PD for being out there with the officers taking charge and it's going smooth. What I didn't realize though, is their lobby's not open and it is not going to be open for several weeks. They said they were 6 weeks behind with the opening. And he asked me to just relay that to the board that they are working to get that open. But everything seems to be working with them. They had a smooth flow. And I just wanted to reach out to him and he appreciated that. No, they're not.
Do they intend to get open 24 hours?
They are a 24-hour facility, but their manpower doesn't allow them to do that with their training, from what I understand, because they're actually actively training folks on the inside. And they still have things on the inside of their lobby that are just literally there. It's not operational, but you can see that they were really doing their due diligence and getting folks through the drive-through.
Any other comments or concerns from the board? If none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion was made by Galloway, seconded by Alderman Alder to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor? Meeting adjourned.